Well, I guess you could say these triangle breakout traders definitely got faked out here. Looks like that idea I had a few days ago worked out pretty nicely. Now, of course, if you watched my last video that I made when I talked about this idea, you know that I took out a significant amount of profits from my trades along this way down, and I did get stopped out of one of them when it came back up. So most of my trades from that area were closed out by the time we put in this low, or soon after. And with the first trade I took, not the second scalp trade, remember how I said I wasn't super optimistic about my stop loss remaining intact? Well, it did. We never came up to hit my stop loss, which was at my entry for this trade. However, I did make a mistake. And I'm sure a lot of you low time frame scalpers can relate to this, but something a bit unfortunate happened with that trade. I went to open a fresh new scalp trade, um, and I was kind of rushing to my exchange to open my position. And I took my scalp position tool. I calculated how much I needed to put on the trade. I was clicking in between the calculator and my exchange trying to open the trade. And unfortunately, I was signed in on the wrong account. I thought I was signed in on the account that did not already have a short trade open, but yeah, I accidentally added to the trade when I was trying to open a new scalp short. And so I had no choice but to put my stop loss to entry, which I believed I opened the scalp in this area, so that moved my entry down like into this area. I had to put my stop loss at break even, and it got stopped out for a break even. Silly little mistake on my part. It's not the first time I've done that. Hopefully it's the last, but I'm sure it won't be. But I will try to be more diligent and, at least try and scroll down on my exchange a little bit right before I open a trade to make sure that I'm not already in a trade of that kind. So that got stopped out. Not a big deal. There wasn't that much remaining in it anyway. And, I am a little salty because, well, at this point, we have come down a lot. We have actually rotated fully in this range, which is, something I said was possible. Although, even though I did take shorts in this area, I wasn't, like, super confident in the idea because, there weren't many higher time frame confirmations or signs pointing in that direction. I mean, we didn't have any high time frame divergences, really. This was kind of in a weird spot for price action. We took out the liquidity from these highs. We also, kind of, it looked like we were breaking out of this triangle that we were forming. And I'm sure because, there weren't many bearish signs and because, well, there was a pretty clear target in everyone's mind, everyone thought that a breakout of this triangle must equal the all-time high. It just seemed like a logical thing that we would, at least run the all-time high, try to at least get a move above it, try to stop people out with their stop losses above it. Maybe it just ends up being an SFP, maybe we end up breaking higher, who knows? And if it wasn't for the low time frame confirmations I got in this area, I wouldn't have even thought to short this. Now I kind of opened these trades with more of a local context. I was really at first only targeting, little areas like this, and I took significant profits there. But I also kind of had this triangle drawn up and I said, hey, sometimes we fake out triangles one way and then just absolutely rip the other way. And that's pretty much what we did. It might have taken a little bit, there might have been some turbulence, but we have now rotated to the complete opposite end of the range where the triangle started. And I luckily was able to get into another short trade right here. We got to a lower time frame. There was a pretty simple setup, a setup that I actually made a video about not that long ago. We got a simple SFP of the high of a range with some divergences on market cipher. We had some momentum divs on the 5-minute. Money flow did not diverge, but it was kind of looking weak. It was barely getting moves into the green, kind of flopping back over. It was putting in its highest point as we SFP'd that high. And I think I said 5-minute. This is 15-minute. But we did also have 5-minute divergences. And on the 5, we actually did have slight money flow divs. So money flow put in a lower high there. And I think as we came up to put in that high, we actually got a local money flow div, so a little extra sign there. Some pretty clear divs on the 3-minute, so, overall, it was just a classic SFP play with market cipher divergences. I waited a little bit until we closed some candles down here. I didn't enter on the first SFP close. I wanted to see, evidence that price was actually going to start moving downwards. And, I wanted to see a couple candle closes down here before I decide to enter. I also left my stop loss a little loose just in case we came up to SFP this high once more. Sometimes we do that. We'll stop out the people that, traded the original SFP just for the next SFP candle to be the one that actually rotates price down. So, I left a looser stop. And, I have to say, I was not expecting a move like this from that kind of trade. I took, a significant amount of profits out around the range low. These two lows were my first target. After that, I took some profits out around these areas just because we got a significant move down, started wicking back up. That's usually a sign to at least shave off some profits. And then I've pretty much been shaving off some more as we continued getting moves down. I think I closed some profits out around these lows. That was like the, not smaller range, but the more mid time frame range low. We were trading in a range pretty much from over here, and you can see that sideways price action. That's like the range within the range. So I took some profits out there. We also, had this local low in that area, so that was a pretty obvious spot to TP2. And, we pretty much just shot straight down to the larger range low. We had little areas where, we consolidated for a few 1-minute candles, but it was pretty much straight down. And so far, we have SFP'd the low of the range. So, automatically, this is an area where we could rotate back up from. After an SFP the low, maybe it doesn't happen immediately. Maybe we're not going to immediately pump back up. Maybe we end up ranging in this area. We could even take out the low again. But this is an important place. I think it's pretty obvious if we start losing this range low, then we open the door to a much bigger retracement to the downside. So this is a pretty key zone. However, I am not in a long from this area. I'm not interested in trying to knife catch, especially when the knife is this large and as volatile as it is. And, I would rather just be patient. Typically, after a large move like this, a range will form somewhere. Maybe it's a large range like this. Maybe we just, start really consolidating in a tight range. But, I'm really not interested in trading this price action until it develops a little bit. I'd want to wait and be patient until we kind of have clear highs and lows. Because I can't say I'm really confident in anything to take any sort of swing position here. There is potential for some divergences. We can click through Market Cipher quick. I think I was seeing some div potential. Right now on the 4-hour, though, it's getting pretty close to not being a divergence, at least not with momentum. Money flow is technically higher than where we were at back here. And actually, you could look at a div from back here of this wave, and there is still a slight div there. Also money flow div. Currently we see money flow getting higher, and momentum right now is higher. Is it going to print like that? I don't know. It seems like it's probably going to go a little bit lower, probably void that, but at least we got money flow there as price put in a lower low. But you can see on the 3-hour money flow is about to cross into the red, took a pretty serious turn to the downside. We're also printing red dots below the 0 line. Momentum continuing to put in lower lows. The 2-hour money flow putting in lower lows as well as momentum. And we do still have a slight div potential on this 1-hour. Money flow is putting in a lower low, though, even compared to this wave back here. It's reaching that point. And, this was a very aggressive move. It took 2 1-hour candles to get from 67K to 59K. That is over a $7,000 dump in less than 2 hours. So that is very aggressive. We know it can come back up just as quickly. But, that doesn't mean that I'd really be interested in the long here. It's just one of those scenarios where there's not really good confirmations. There's not really a good risk-reward setup that I would consider taking. If I was going to take a long here, I would, at the very least target some of these local resistances. I'd want to take profits somewhere in this area. Maybe looking for a back test of the triangle. That would kind of make sense. But, I'm not really interested in doing that for a 2-to-1 risk-reward, especially with things being as sketchy as they are. Now, one thing about this range that is very odd is we came so close to taking out the range high, to taking out the all-time high, and we didn't do it. I, personally think if we had SFP'd this high, closed it as an SFP, and then quickly reversed from there, that would be much more of a bearish sign. And that would probably make me lean more towards the side of, we're going to break this range to the downside. The fact that we haven't kind of makes me think that we're probably going to continue ranging in this range for a bit longer. I don't think we necessarily have to take out the high. Maybe we end up ranging and breaking down later. I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's just odd the fact that we didn't come up and take out the high when we were so close. We could have, ran the stop losses on everyone that traded this area, or really anyone that traded anywhere in this area with their stop losses up above this high. I would have expected it probably would have been like an aggressive wick up, because I'm sure there's not many people with like super tight stop losses. They're probably kind of layered up here like this. But yeah, I have to say the fact that we did not take out the range high yet makes me think that there's a higher chance that we're going to continue ranging here and that we probably will eventually get a rotation up from this low. Again, it could take a while. Maybe we like range here for a bit, maybe even continue taking out the lows just for us to come back up later. Who knows? I'm not really sold on like an immediate reversal from here, but I think we may know pretty quickly. With how quickly we've come down here, if we are intended to go lower, it's probably going to happen pretty soon. So I am going to be watching the charts all day today, and I think that's really all I wanted to go over. There's not too much to talk about on the higher time frames. I guess the VWAP is taking another turn to the downside, so that looks a bit more bearish than it did the last time I was looking at it. It was starting to kind of curve back up. I was thinking maybe we get a green dot here, but that is now kind of flopping over to the downside. It still could, turn around and we still could get a green dot here eventually. I'm not discounting that idea. Maybe we just have to consolidate a bit longer, but that's a little update on the weekly and the daily time frame. Money flow does seem to be continuing to the downside. We also kind of printed another trigger wave right here. Red dot just printed, is that yesterday? Yeah. So we have a confirmed red dot. VWAP putting in a lower low. So that's, kind of a sign of weakness. Momentum also putting in a lower low. You can see the edge of that white wave right there. So, yeah, we do kind of have some bearish signs on the higher time frames as well. But ultimately, I'm just going to watch what price does. I think if we kind of hold this area for a while, there's a higher chance that we at least rotate back up, continue trading in this range. I'd watch the value area of this range and, basically look at the key levels. The value area low is going to be a pretty key spot. If we get above that, maybe then we rotate up towards the point of control value area high. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit too early to tell, but right now I'm not really stressing about anything until we start really losing this range low. And I mean, like, really losing it. All right, well, thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. All that helps to support the channel, and I appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one.